All right, welcome back to another episode of the Switched On Streams podcast. Always myself, Pomster, here to talk about stuff in gaming, stuff in our lives, and just general crap, really. Most of it's gaming. Most of it is gaming. In fact, all of today's is gaming, so if you're here for that, good on you. Make sure you like and subscribe. All the stuff's down there. Links are all over the place. You can find them. You know what to do. Right. Obviously, the big thing on Friday was the Game Awards. We did a live reacts. You can find that on the channel. Well, I did. This bloke didn't. He was working with his other job. But obviously, a lot of winners, a lot of losers. I think the main talking point that I've seen online this week is the fact that Spider-Man 2 took nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest
Despite
with you,
7 nominations.
But as you and me spoke about, I think we spoke Friday afternoon after the awards, as you did watch most of it. I don't think it was strong enough to beat any of the competitors it had in the categories it was nominated in.
Sure.
I think that's just...
Yeah, I think, it was nominated in a lot of categories because it was good for lots of different reasons, but it just wasn't outstanding for any particular thing. So that's why it missed out. It covered a lot of categories, and it deserved its nominations, but it probably
100%.
wasn't outstanding at anything in particular in the same way that the first game was.
Yeah. And the first game, I don't think the first game won it either.
Yeah, the first game won Game of the Year, I think, didn't it?
I don't think it
pretty
did.
Sure. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they did a Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, it may have taken out like the golden joysticks or
that's
or
true. Look at us knowing all about gaming.
Yeah, but I don't think it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot there that team have got to be proud about. It got nominated in 7 categories, as you said, which, I think is fantastic. But yeah, I just don't think it's strong enough to beat out those games that it was nominated against, especially in Game of the Year. Like, it was always going to come down to Baldur's Gate or Tears of the Kingdom. I actually had an argument with someone online over this very thing. And, I was like, well, it was only ever coming down to 2 games. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Baldur's Gate and Alan Wake 2. And I'm like, are you just wrong in the head? Alan Wake 2 probably would be the third choice. But
yeah, probably.
Critically and commercially, with a fan vote being taken into consideration, Tears of the Kingdom was always going to be the second choice.
Alan Wake 2 was also quite a late release, I suppose. And I think the opinion on Alan Wake 2 is pretty mixed. Everyone kind of recognizes that it looks absolutely incredible, but it took out Best Narrative, and I think a lot of people who played it would, there'd be some of them who would tell you, yeah, it's a great story, and there'd be others who say, I really couldn't get on board with the story. It was quite weird. So, for me, it was never quite going to be Game of the Year. But yeah, I think in regards to Spider-Man, again, it probably just, it was never really in the running. And Insomniac and Sony will probably feel a little bit disappointed that they didn't win anything. But I think it was just a competitive year
very competitive
in all of the categories where it was nominated. And there were a lot of categories this year that weren't competitive at all. But in none of those categories was Spider-Man nominated. So
yeah, exactly. So Hang on, ADHD brain kicking in. Yeah, no, I've lost what I was going to say. So I thought we'd have a look at a few of the categories that sort of surprised me, or didn't really surprise me too much, apart from two. There's sort of three that I was a bit disappointed personally, more than surprised. Most anticipated, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the winner in that category. I expected that to win, but I was really disappointed that Hades 2 didn't get up there. I really would have liked to see that, especially with, you know, Game Awards being such a huge backer of the original one, and all the, you know, the stuff that they've done promoting those games with Jeff Keighley over the last couple of years. So that one was a little bit disappointing for me. But in saying that, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be huge when it releases in February. So, you know, doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was my pick and is my most anticipated game, I think, or at least of that particular list. So
yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that winning.
No, I like I said, I don't have a problem with it winning. It was just a little bit disappointing on a personal note. Multiplayer. Went to Baldur's Gate 3. I know it was always going to be the winner. You know, there was a lot of streams, a lot of people teaming up and doing multi-streams of this game. For me, I think probably Street Fighter 6 has the best multiplayer out of all of them.
Yeah.
And Diablo 4 probably second on that list.
And Street Fighter 6 took a really innovative approach, I suppose, to multiplayer for a fighting game. And I think probably for that reason, it maybe should have deserved it. Baldur's Gate is arguably the better game, but it's not what is the best game that has a multiplayer mode. It's you know, it's essentially what is the best multiplayer mode in a game this year. And obviously the Baldur's Gate multiplayer is great, but
I mean, it's probably not that dissimilar to the Diablo 4 one in that respect. I don't know. Outside of doing story stuff, it doesn't feel like there's a lot to Baldur's Gate multiplayer. You know, whereas at least with Diablo 4, like there's a treasure trove of end game content there for you to get stuck into, sort of thing. The next one on the list, I thought was a bit of a, because I'm not even sure it's the best racing game in the category, but with sports and racing, Forza Motorsports took this out. Now, both of us voted for the Crew Motorfest. Critically, the Crew Motorfest is a better game than Forza Motorsport. On top of that, FC24, one of our big games that we stream, was in this category and missed out. I almost feel like did it take out 2 Forza? Yeah, it took out 2 games. Look like these were. Oh, thanks for the sponsorship here, Xbox. Here, have a couple of awards that don't really mean anything.
Yeah.
In saying that, oh well, actually no, I will say it for this one. I won't for the other one, which was the Accessibility Award, which they have done some innovative stuff, and both Sony and Microsoft, but especially Microsoft, are really, really starting to push the boundaries on their way of getting more and more gamers with disabilities into games. So, that one I won't say is a handoff trophy. But this one really sort of felt like it might have been for me.
Yeah, I think potentially there was a little bit of maybe elitism here, that they probably didn't want to give a win to an Ubisoft driving game.
Maybe.
Over Forza, that's had such a long history of good titles that look great and feel realistic and all of that stuff.
True.
But yeah, it's not a particularly strong category anyway. FC24 has all sorts of issues. F123 feels like the same F1 game that it was 10 years ago in many ways. Still good, but I think a lot of gamers of people who play those games have had issues since it's been bought out by EA. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. It's not a massive game, really. It's a bit of fun.
There was a big bit of fanfare around it, but sort of it was one of those ones, much like the first one, where all of a sudden people realized it was coming out in like a week, and there was all these ads for it and everything, and then they went for a week after it released, and then nothing, like just radio silence.
Yeah,
and like it was only up until last week that I even remembered that game had come out. So, yeah, not the greatest entry into the category, but I mean,
I would love
not huge
to see. Sorry,
that's all right. I was just going to say, like, it's probably not a huge amount of sports/racing games that could probably go into this category.
Sure,
without just doing every yearly one that gets released.
Yeah, I would love to see the breakdown of the votes. Personally, a lot of yearly awards shows that I watch, or at least that have been kind of set up in recent times, will do a complete breakdown of either percentages or number of votes or both. And I think that would be really interesting to see in some of these categories, because I feel like this one was probably a close one, and I would love to see how close it was between those two, and maybe FC24 would have been in the mix as well. Who knows? I doubt it, but
yeah, true. One that I just thought of another game that missed out that I thought could possibly have gone up here. So much like we said with Hogwarts Legacy missing out on a nomination completely, what about WWE 2K23 missing out in the fighting genre? Or the fighting category?
Yeah.
Or even in the sports.
It could have gone in sports or fighting, depending on which way you wanted to classify WWE. Yeah, it's probably a bit harsh because it's the first WWE 2K game I've picked up in a few years, and I'm reasonably impressed with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it had some bugs and stuff, but
I think it's a bit of an improvement over previous titles, and yeah, I think it probably did deserve a nomination.
Yeah, it's the first one. Obviously, they released after the big hoo-ha that happened between Ukes and 2K and them leaving to go off and do AEW's Fight Forever, and we all know how well that went for them. So, they really took their time with this one, and they came up really strong, I thought. Really strong with this entry. But, maybe it was the wrong time of year and it's just been overlooked yet again, much like probably Hogwarts Legacy, in a jam-packed year full of absolute banging games.
There definitely seemed to be some recency bias in the nominations. I think there were a lot of the nominations were for games in the second half, or let's say that the second 2/3 of the year.
But again, like 250 different outlets are nominating for these and putting these nominations forward. So, you know,
that's the problem, though,
bias,
is that
like they're going through every game.
Yeah,
every game that comes out.
That is part of the problem, though, isn't it? That if you're getting journalists to do this, they might be reviewing. A journalist might be reviewing however many games a year, and the thing that's going to be freshest on their mind is what they've reviewed in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So,
obviously, I think, outside of the big couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm totally on board. All right, 2 that actually shocked me. Best debut indie game went to Cocoon. This shocked me because Pizza Tower and Viewfinder were huge successes, and I'm not taking that away from Cocoon because it was as well. But for me, those 2 games were everywhere as far as indies were concerned. They even mentioned during the awards ceremony that the developers of that game were in the crowd and, panned round to them. So that sort of, early doors made me think, well, maybe they're going to take it. I mean, I voted for Viewfinder. So that one shocked me a little bit, but not as much. And I know this is going to cause an argument with you and me because we started to do it before we even started recording. We said, no, we're going to wait for this. Best ongoing. Cyberpunk 2077. Now, to me, this is absolute bullcrap because they've given it to a game purely based on the fact that it relates to DLC.
A DLC that fixed a lot of problems with the game, that expanded the game enormously, that added a whole bunch of new content. So I want to read out for people the remit here for this category. So best ongoing, awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Now, that certainly doesn't rule out one big DLC. No. The way that I read that, it doesn't rule out one big DLC that changes the experience of the game.
But that means that next year, God of War Ragnarok can win that. Because it had a DLC come out. Because it had a DLC come out today. Or Spider-Man 2 could win that because they're going to have DLC come out sometime next year.
But are those DLC going to be big enough, substantial enough that they are going to change the player experience that drastically?
The God of War one will, as they announced at the Game Awards.
Maybe it will, and maybe when it comes to next year's Game Awards, it might be a genuine contender.
That's not an ongoing game. That's not an Overwatch. It's not a Fortnite. It's not a live service game, which technically is an ongoing game.
That's not what the category is. That's not the description of the category. I think if you could have a category that's best live service game, and I would have no problem with that. But the way that this category is described, I think large DLC does fall into it.
Yeah.
Provided that DLC does change the player experience.
The thing that bugs me, and don't get me wrong, I love Cyberpunk. I had a lot of fun with that game when it came out. I had a lot of fun with it recently, finishing the story. I don't think a game that came out, when did it come out? 5 years ago? 4 years ago?
No, not quite. I think maybe 3 to 4. It was just before the PS5, wasn't it? I think.
I reckon it was just after the PS5.
It might have been, but it didn't launch on the PS5 initially, did it?
No, because it was only a PS4. It was only a PS4 game at the time. I don't think a game that came out to such bad fanfare and bad reception that has then waited 3 or 4 years to finally fix everything that was wrong with the game and release its one and only DLC should be getting an award for it. It just you're giving them an award for basically saying, okay, thanks for fixing the game that you originally promised us.
In fairness, a lot of the bugs were already fixed in
but
in
this
updates.
Was all stuff that they said we pretty much were going to be looking at getting within the first few months of it being released. I guess they spent so much time doing all the other stuff, fixing all the other bugs, getting the game up to scratch 3 years after it's been released.
Like we mentioned with the recency bias, to use an analogy, if someone loses a lot of weight, they tend to get a lot of praise from people, where if they just stayed at a lower weight the entire time, no one would give them any praise. So that's just I think there's human nature to a certain extent that people think, wow, this game has changed so much, it's improved drastically. That's probably had an effect on people's psyche.
I have seen a lot of other outlets that do, podcasts like us or do shows or, do news and that sort of thing. I've seen them have this same conversation, and, a lot of them are a bit, it's a bit of a grey area with Cyberpunk, but I'm ready to die on that hill. I'll wear it.
For me, if it was a live service thing, I would say Final Fantasy 14. But for the way that and I think that's what I voted for, I think. But for the way that this category is described and the fact that they've nominated Cyberpunk for this category, and I'm sure there was this argument between a lot of the journalists and critics and stuff that were nominating the game in the first place. I think for the way that the category is described, I understand why it won.
Well, I think it might have been Bless from Kind of Funny Games. It might have been him that I was listening to that actually said that there may have actually been a change to the category to accommodate Cyberpunk.
Right.
Because it was getting nominated a lot and people weren't quite sure how it sort of fitted in. So there may have been a change.
So originally it might have been, the description for the category might have been different and
a bit vague, sure. A bit vaguer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my stance. I think it's madness. I actually think Fortnite probably would have taken it out if they'd released what they've done over the last few days and released that a week or two earlier. Which is a nice little segue. We'll move into that. Fortnite's new content has dropped. Mm-hmm. And I might finally start getting you boys into Fortnite. I've got you in there once. We won that. We won that game, didn't we?
We did win that round. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm 1 from 1 at the moment. So I don't really want to ruin that. I want to keep my 100% record by never playing it again.
Yeah. But that's the thing. We don't have to go in there and play in the battlegrounds. There are so many other games.
Yeah.
So many other things to do, including the 3 new Epic Games created. There is the festival, the Fortnite Festival, where you can go in there and be part of a band, play drums, play guitar, play bass, or do vocals, and kind of doing the Guitar Hero thing where you press left, right, square, or circle as the things drop down the screen. We also then have the integration with Rocket League, where we now have rocket racing. I found this to be quite simple, quite easy. I think I've only finished outside the top 3 once, and that's when I didn't realize that it put me into a game, and I wasn't even at the PlayStation at the time. And I still nearly finished the whole race, even though I came into it while they were on the last lap. Oh, my camera went then. It's come back again.
Yeah. I think you lost connection for a while there. It's still a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, we're still fuzzy. That's all right on mine.
Yeah, coming back now. Yeah.
It's all right on my end. Yeah, and then the one that I want to get you guys into, the big one, Lego Fortnite. A full Minecraft type survival mode where we can go and build shit in Lego, go defeat some dragons and some acid spitting things, make some videos, make some content, see what we can do, and just go hell for leather. I think and again, going back to the Game Awards stuff, if they release these 3 things, because one came out Friday, one came out Saturday, one came out Sunday. If they released all 3 of those 2 weeks ago, I don't think there'd be much. I don't know if Cyberpunk would have taken it out. Because these are 3 modes that are very not Fortnite. Especially not Epic Games created wise anyway.
I guess so. There hasn't been, as far as I've seen, a huge fanfare around these new game modes for Fortnite, but maybe that's because I'm not in kind of Fortnite circles.
Go jump on YouTube, bro. The event that happened last week, I can't remember what day it was. Might have been the weekend before. Might have been the Sunday before. But the event that happened that started Chapter 5, where we found out about all this stuff, I saw so many people getting up at like 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to get into this event, and were waiting for like 3-4 hours to get into the servers.
Yeah, right.
And couldn't get in. Laserbeam had one of the biggest streams ever. He had like 850,000 people watching his stream on YouTube of the event. Like they are crazy numbers.
Yeah,
nearly 1 million people watching his live event just to stream what was happening in Fortnite. So, there was a lot of anticipation. Obviously, they went through the whole thing. They showed you each one of these things on that trailer event that happened. Sorry, I've got a catch on the claw up my leg here. And then at the end of that, there was the whole Eminem concert where he did like a bit of 2 songs he did, or half of a song each, and did this whole thing, which was pretty cool. So yeah, look, I've played around in these. I haven't done much in the Lego one because I want to leave that exploring and stuff to getting you boys in there and making some content in there. I've played around in the festival. We can't live stream the festival because the licensed songs that they use, and it won't actually let you do anything. So many people have it turned off, have the music turned off, and don't actually realize that if you have that turned off, like nothing loads. It puts you into the festival, and then it just sits there and doesn't do anything because someone has it turned off. I worked this out, turned mine back on, and yeah, it's all good now. Getting the dailies, getting the rewards. I'm going to go get that buff Peter Griffin skin. It looks unreal. It actually looks unreal. I got to show you it. But yeah, and I've done a lot of the racing. Had a lot of fun with that. What's the car that you use in Rocket League?
I change between a few, but usually, what am I using at the moment? I tried using the F1 car for a while because of the change that they made to the hitbox, which is pretty good, by the way. So if you already own that car, go and try it in Rocket League. If you don't, bad luck, because it's not always for sale in the store. And most of the time I use the Fennec.
Yeah, so I reckon it's either the Fennec or the Octane that it gives you. Oh, hang on, the Fennec's
probably the Octane, because
the Fennec's the box one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit boxy. Yeah. The Octane is the standard Rocket League car.
It's the one with the bigger wheels at the back, and
they both have the same hitbox in Rocket League, but the Octane and the Fennec. But the Octane is the standard car.
So everyone that seems to go into it gets the Octane as standard.
Yeah.
And if you've got certain cars, they transfer over. My Lamborghini transferred over. So I have the Lamborghini. And it shits over everything. Absolutely. People are starting to get the hang of it now and understanding how to actually race in these. It's like a lot of people seem to skip over the tutorial early doors and couldn't work out that you get boosts for hitting right on the green and all that sort of stuff. But look, there's a lot of fun to be had there. There's obviously all the user created stuff that we can go and do and find and do some challenges and all that sort of stuff. So I think we should be trying to get you guys on, though, is a nightmare. But I'm going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Outside of that, though, FC24 clubs finally got back to elite.
Yep. After many tries.
Yeah. But that was to be expected, having the new people in the side, learning all the different things. Once we stopped trying to be so one-dimensional,
I think that was the biggest change.
Working. I think, and that little tweak to the defensive side of things, I think it really started to work. Still a few kinks that we need to probably work out before the playoffs start on the weekend.
Yep.
But let's just keep pushing forward on that. We're definitely moving in the right direction now. Definitely moving.
Yeah,
in the right direction.
We can hopefully get some bigger rewards this season. Last season, our playoffs didn't go too well. We finished outside of the top 50% in elite, didn't we?
No, we did. No, we finished in the top 50. We finished in the top 25 when we finished our games.
Yeah.
But by the time that the season had finished, we finished in the top 50, which didn't give us a trophy. I just want the trophy. I want to show off our elite status to all those lowly scum that we play and lose to.
I think last time there was a pretty big disparity between our good games and our bad games, and hopefully not being as one-dimensional as we used to be, that will improve, because we'll have more tools in our arsenal to switch things up when things aren't working.
Definitely. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, definitely. And what are you heading towards now? Are you heading towards 150, 200 goals?
150, I think.
150, and I'm
and
just
200 assists, I think.
Yeah, whereas I'm coming up to, what is it now? 400 goals.
So that many already.
I'm on 362 or 63. I scored another like 20
last
goals.
Year's total pretty quickly.
Yeah, we are playing a lot more FC24 clubs though.
Yeah, we used to only play once a week with last year's game, and this time we're getting in sometimes 3 times a week.
Yeah, which is good. It's needed with playoffs, but now I did want to talk about some Doctor Who, but you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
So I suppose we better just go into the bracket. such a big Doctor Who fan, this bloke, and he hasn't watched the new stuff.
Well, I went off Doctor Who completely during Jodie Whittaker's era, so it's hard for me to get back into it, I suppose.
Yes, but Tennant's back.
Yeah, I know.
Russell T Davies is back.
Yeah. Although, judging by the status that you posted on Facebook, that maybe that wasn't such a good thing.
Oh no! That was a good status. It's just a twist.
Right.
It is a twist. It's a good twist. But you didn't like the whole Jodie Whittaker Chibnall not being a Time Lord thing. I thought that was a nice little twist. I didn't like it, but I thought it was a good twist. If that makes sense.
Right.
I hated it for a Doctor Who story, but I liked it for.
I also hated
a story.
I also hated that it's like, the first Doctor wasn't the first Doctor and all that. And
yeah. Chibnall did some weird shit. All right, onto our 2011 bracket. Jeez, this is getting close. We've only got 10 years left after this. So, as far as honourable mentions go, we have Skyrim, Portal 2, Uncharted 3, DC Universe Online, LA Noire, a game that still bugs me that I never got the platinum on, Skylanders, and Saints Row the Third as being our honourable mentions for 2011. My pick for this year is a game that we've written. No, not recently, but last couple of years went and did as a group.
Yep.
And that's Dead Island 2. No, not Dead Island 2. It's only just released, but Dead Island.
Yeah.
Dead Island. Dead Island 2 obviously had one of the most anticipated trailers to come out at E3.
And I should mention that the first game still has, I think, the best video game trailer ever.
Yeah, you see, I slightly disagree there purely on the fact that Dead Island's 2 trailer just was something else.
It's very cool, but
it's been parodied. It's been
I think the first game's trailer, it's not trying to be cool. It's trying to be impactful, and it's incredibly impactful.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And it's very emotional, and I love the first game's trailer. I love the first game. I just think the first Dead Island is incredible. So I like your pick.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun with this. I think we did about 4 or 5 sessions and got through it. I know I spent a couple of times where I just went in there on my own. Didn't kill anything unless I really had to, but would just go and loot bags. So I had shitloads of materials ready for when you guys came in and were like, "Oh, we can go get this," and I'm like, I already got this.
I think we also went through and completed all of the side missions before we finished the game.
Did.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did.
So we obviously enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did. We did as much as we could. Didn't go through and get the platinum, but we did do as much as we could.
Yeah.
And then obviously we went and played Riptide as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we finished Riptide.
We still haven't finished it yet.
Trying to get a time when you, me, and Callum, who the other lad that was playing with us, are on now at the same time and actually playing together is very few and far between.
Yep.
But anyway, onto your choice.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one for me because it's a game from a series and it's not my favorite game from the series. But my favorite game from the series was in a previous year where I just didn't feel like it quite stacked up to the winner that I chose for that year. So my pick for this year is Batman Arkham City.
Yeah. Now, it's my least favorite game from that series.
Interesting. I think it's probably it's probably the kind of the crowd favorite, like of people who played all 3 games in the series. I would imagine
I
most people
remember.
would probably say that their favorite is City.
I
But
remember
all 3
early
games
doors.
are good in different ways.
Yeah, I remember early doors. It wasn't very well received, and I really liked it at the time. But I didn't think it was better than the first one. And then the third one came out, and I love the third one. We actually, I think we would actually vote each one of those in different orders.
Yeah, I think so, because the third is
Because
by far my least favorite.
yeah, so I think you'd go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Whereas I'd go 3, 1, 2.
3, 1. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah. So we would literally put them in different orders.
yeah,
Not one would
yeah.
not one would match
That's
up.
interesting, and that's that's the beauty of opinions and all that
But
jazz.
in
But
saying that, all 3 of those games would easily be in my top, definitely top 100, if not top 50 games of all time.
I've always thought with Arkham City that the first hour or two of it isn't very strong, but by the end of it, it's a really really good story, and just traveling around the city is fantastic. The gameplay is really good. All the
Yeah.
side missions are really good, and I think there are. I can think of quite a few games that I've played that have that problem where the first hour of the story isn't super strong. I felt the same way about Jedi Fallen Order, and by the end of the game, it was one of my favorite games of the last sort of 5-6 years.
Yeah, I kept telling you to push through on that game
Yeah,
and get past that first hour or so.
and I had
hour or
a
two.
similar thing with both Arkham City and Fallen Order, where I played the first couple of hours of them and stopped playing them for a while. I put them down. I was like, I'm just not
Yeah,
enjoying this. In the case of Arkham City, I thought I loved Asylum, and I'm a bit disappointed with this. And then I finally chose to push through it, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I remember you saying to me with Arkham City that you weren't a big fan of it, like early doors when
Yeah,
you were playing, and I was like, I think that's stuck in my head, and it's only been probably the last year or year and a half, maybe a bit longer, where I've heard you say that it's a really good game and better, better than 3, and I've gone. I remember you saying you hated that game. And now you're saying how good it is.
yeah.
Is this is this a Mandela effect? Am I remembering something that just didn't happen?
Yeah, I definitely didn't like the first couple of hours of it. That the first mission and the stuff around the police station. It's just I didn't enjoy that at all. But yeah, the more that game progresses, I think
Yeah,
it's really good.
yeah. Look, there's a lot of fun to be had in all those games.
And I think if you were just to drop into a map, say after you've finished the game, just drop into a map and have fun. I think it's a more fun experience than the other two for me.
Yeah, one was a bit tedious, trying to go around and find everything.
And some people just think 1 is too linear, which I don't personally have a problem with, but I understand
I
some
don't
people
either.
like more open world games, why they would have a problem with that.
Yeah. For me, 3 does so much to explore, so much to do. But it does. I think one of the things you've said to me before, it feels a bit unnatural, a bit forced, a bit.
And the story's really not great.
I love the story.
Really?
But I'm yeah.
Okay.
But you see, I'm a huge fan of 3 stories within the Batman universe: The Killing Joke, A Death in the Family, and the what is it? The Dark Metal story where they bring in the Batman Who Laughs. And obviously this is an adaptation of A Death in the Family, where Jason Todd gets taken supposedly killed by the Joker and then comes back as the Red Hood after being a bit damaged psychologically before being reformed and becoming part of the Bat family. So it's one of my favorite stories within the Batman universe.
I also feel like they just kind of shoved the Joker in there because they felt like they needed the Joker in that story, which I really don't feel like they did.
No, I don't.
Trying not to give any spoilers away there for people who haven't played Arkham City, but it's kind of difficult.
It's an 8-year-old game, if not more.
Yeah. Joker dies.
You know, no spoilers. Joker dies. Far out. Joker's already been dead at that point.
Yeah, so Joker dies at the end of Arkham City, and
he dies.
They bring him back as like a constant hallucination in Arkham Knight.
Well, it's because of the blood.
Yeah,
it's in Batman. You know, and it makes sense. It does make sense.
Sort of, yeah.
It
does feel forced though, and it adds to that kind of thing that a lot of the things in that story feel forced.
For me as well, it makes sense having the Joker in there, considering the whole Jason Todd situation. You can't really have the Red Hood in there without having the Joker be a part of the story somewhere along the lines.
Right.
Like, considering that's who kills him, you know? Kind of be a bit weird. But, in saying that, talking about Batman and Rocksteady, you see the trailer for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League?
I haven't seen the trailer for it. I did know about that game, but no, I haven't seen the trailer.
Yeah, new trailer dropped for it. I'm pretty sure it was at the Game Awards. So it might have been part of the moment when you weren't watching. But yeah, go check that out. I think if that's got 4-player online multiplayer, could be a hell of a lot of fun. Absolute lot of fun. Playing as either King Shark, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, or Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, okay.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. Rocksteady made game. This could be what we were hoping for out of Gotham Knights.
Yeah, really which was a bit of a disappointment.
I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It was a disappointment, don't get me wrong, but I thoroughly enjoyed that game. But then I just didn't switch from being Nightwing the whole way through the game. I just played it as if it was just his story.
Yep.
If you can't tell from the picture you can see up there, I'm a big Nightwing fan. And that picture up there is number 1 of 1 and signed by the artist. So, just a little bit of a Nightwing fan. And obviously you can see me Nightwing comic books up there.
Yeah.
Graded. Big Nightwing fan. Not bad for someone who hates DC. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. We will leave it at that. As we said at the beginning of the show, don't forget to like and subscribe. Go through the links, find our socials, get on there. These brackets are going to be going on the socials soon. Only a few more weeks, and we're going to be putting it out there for you guys to vote on. So make sure you get in on that. All right, guys. It has been a pleasure as always. Come find us on stream. Twitch.tv / Pomster_gaming and Twitch.tv / Brennanhoof. Also find us over on YouTube at Switched On Squad. Let me see my link. Oh, hang on, down here. To find us on the YouTube channel if you're not watching us on YouTube. Where you will also find all our gaming stuff as well. And some Reacts videos coming your way once we finally find some time to record some more after the last ones went shits up. I'm going to stop waffling now and just say goodbye. See ya.
See you next time.